Hey everyone, welcome to the Love Your Body podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Michael Dyer, realtor. For those of you that don't know, I got my first house in 2021, and I'm super excited. All the renovations we've been doing, everything like that. And my brother actually is a real estate agent, and he is native to Nashville. He's been a real estate consultant since 2006. 95% of his business comes from past clients, referrals, and friends. So he's just like, wanting to sponsor the Love Your Body podcast. He loves what we got going on here. And so it's really cool. And I'm really excited to have him and hopefully helping me look for my next house or investment property. So really excited about that with Bucket List Goals. So if you want to check him out, dyernashville.com. So make sure to go tell him that I sent you. But yeah, on today's episode, guys, all right, so it's February and we're here. We've made it. It's not the first of the year anymore. We are in the swing of things. So whether you started at a new gym or you got into a new relationship or you like whatever's going on, right? You've set your goals, your intentions. Maybe you're journaling every day. Like you're really like on a roll. So the biggest thing when it comes to Valentine's Day coming up and everything, and just this month in general, is I tend to see a lot of people getting off of their goals because one, maybe they haven't seen immediate progress, right? Well, for those of you listening, the progress is never going to be immediate, okay? It takes time. You got to build that regimen and routine. Don't fall into that trap that, if you haven't lost 10 pounds, in the first 2 weeks of your new regimen, like that you're not being successful, okay? Because you are. Any small steps that you're making, whether it's taking your apple cider vinegar in the morning, drinking your Fight Energy, whether you are, eating more protein throughout the day, like whatever it is, like really just, embrace those things and keep going with those things. And those small things really do add up. Okay. And even like somebody that is drinking now half their body weight in ounces in water a day, that's not a small thing. So like that's huge. So the fact that you went from, maybe having 2 bottles a day and now are completely hydrated each day, I mean, that's a win. So don't sell yourself short on that. But yeah, so with Valentine's Day, I feel like a lot of times we get in our feelings, we get kind of emotional, whether it's, the guys are getting stressed out because they feel like they got to buy something for their girlfriend or whoever, or the girls are expecting there's some lavish thing that needs to happen because they need to show it off on Instagram that they're worthy because they got flowers and candy. Okay. Like especially since I've done my prep and stuff, I have gotten so over holidays and their meanings or their like how it's supposed to be or what it's supposed to be. And I've always been over it, but now I'm like really over it. I think it's great if you guys, that are in relationships, go do something fun and embrace the day, right? But it should always be like that. This is, it shouldn't be like it's a special thing. Like if your person is not really well at planning, like doesn't do a really good job at planning things, like don't expect them the night of Valentine's Day to get it together, okay? It is a communication thing. If you're wanting like that notebook romance and that whole deal and that passion thing, then say that to your partner, right? Like say that and communicate. And I feel like that's going to help just alleviate so much tension and so many expectations that are just like not met, and it's so wild to me because I with the month and getting off track, I think that we get into these emotions with personal things. And then that kind of leads us down this path of getting sidetracked with our gym and our food and this and that. And then of course, everywhere you look, there's chocolate, right? And so you're like in the grocery store, you're like, oh, those are cute chocolates. Like, or I'm at my desk at work and there's chocolates, or at the gym, they're bringing in cookies left and right, or cakes or whatever. So it's kind of everywhere. It's kind of just wrapped up, and then you turn the TV on and it's rom-coms, all this stuff, whatever. And, I have dealt with clients who have depression, anxiety, all these different things, regardless if they're with a person or not with a person. And, and I've dealt with these things too, and within a relationship or not within a relationship. So, it's like, okay, I talk about this all the time, but like, when you're living a healthy lifestyle regimen and you're staying consistent, you can count on that thing to be consistent when life's up and downs kind of get you, right? So whether your, family or something happens, or friends or your relationship or whatever, like none of that should have an effect on your journey. Okay. So right now we're getting into that time of the year where whether you met a goal or you're like, oh, I deserve this now. Like I have been to the gym for a month. I've been working with a trainer for a month, or I've been doing this for a month. So now I deserve to be able to have all this chocolate or whatever. Again, we're getting in that tricky territory of like the emotional attachment with things, right? Or it's like, you know, if you're thinking about it like this, like I finally have my life together, I deserve that man or I deserve that woman, right? You don't deserve anything. Okay, first let's take that off the table. You know, if you're a good person and you're putting good out there, everything that I hope good comes back to you. If you're a bad person, like I hope you get right and I hope that, good comes back to you when it's supposed to, right? But this whole idea that you have to fall in this category. You got to post the things. You got to look like you're having a great time, whatever. Like, honestly, I mean, for me, like, I'll say this now, like my Love Your Body initiative, like I did a couple years ago was me on a billboard half naked, or more than half naked. I mean, it was just like whatever. But like naked on a billboard. And like that was my initiative to help people love themselves more. Okay. That was the form of like my love language of like giving that, like, and doing that for like myself, but also representing my mission. And so, and that's what the podcast picture is of. And so it's like, for me, like I try to find things that bring me joy during this month. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go do some sticker blasting. Yes, you heard me right. Sticker blasting. And I'm so pumped about it. So if you're around Middle Tennessee and preferably, Nashville, Murfreesboro area, that's where we're starting out with this. And you see a coral sticker and it says Love Your Body, the same logo we got for the podcast. And you see a QR code, you scan that code and it's going to take you right to the podcast. So I'm super pumped about that. And obviously you can follow my other handles and things that'll be on there as well. But it's going to be cool and I'm excited about it. And then you can always if you come to events, you can grab some of the stickers and take them to friends or like share it that way. So you can be like, hey, like listen to this awesome podcast, just scan the QR code. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's gonna be cool. And if you see any out, like feel free to tag me and like take a picture with it, whatever, send it. And I may just end up sending you something special, like some Fight Energy or some other goodies. So I would love to, have you guys do that. But again, let's imagine you go out, had a rough night on Broadway, and you're just like, man, like nobody talked to me. I didn't get anybody's number. I just feel alone and it's like Valentine's weekend or it's at the weekend after Valentine's or whatever. And you just are like, or it's a Tuesday night and you're out there, I don't know. And you look up and you see this sticker that says Love Your Body. And you're just like, what? Like, and it's gonna get that question that thing, in your mind, just kind of rolling where it's like, do I love my body? Like, I'm over here worried about this guy that gave me no attention the entire night and made me feel really bad. Or nobody noticed how awesome I was and like this was just kind of a bust, right? Or I had a great time and I feel really loved by everybody. But you know what? Like, I need to remember and get right with that. I do love myself, or that I'm working towards loving myself. And that is what loving your body is all about, guys. Like, it is not just like, okay, I got to love every single part and I got to love the under tricep area, or under your arms, like the tricep area. And I got to love, the wrinkles on my face. And it's not that. That's not what I'm shouting at you. That's not what I'm trying to explain to you. There are times and days where I have bumps and scars and I'm like, man, like how nice would it be to live in a life with good skin, or hair that when it's not super sweaty, like it could stay straight, and not have to spend money on blowouts all the time or 2 hours to do my hair by myself. Like there's so many things that, we would want to be better or that we would hope that could be better or whatever. But like at the end of the day, that's when you got to lean into it and be like, but you know what? Like I have healthy, long, thick hair and I'm so thankful for that because there's somebody out there who their hair, maybe losing their hair, or because of health reasons, they have no hair. Like, so it's just, you really, again, it's not about comparing, but put it in perspective, and so put this month in perspective and tell yourself, like, I'm going to do something for myself. And like, seriously, I'm hype about the sticker blasted. And like, yeah, I think it's going to be great. And hopefully I won't get arrested in the process, but it'll be fine. But I think it'll be a lot of fun. And yeah, I got some other things like brewing and stuff, and a lot of great content coming out, and just really excited about that. And besides that, I have a announcement that I'll make next week or in a couple weeks for you guys that I have been manifesting, and so it's really cool that that's coming to fruition, because I literally, again, people looked at me like, wow, like, okay, Dani, like, you know what I mean? Like that whole thing again, like same with, if you are just now listening to the podcast, like I talked about how when it came to what I said years ago that like I'd partner with Shape Magazine, like I'd do something with them. And then years later ended up doing that. And then there was about the house. Like people told me, you really need to move out of your parents' house. You really need to buy a house in Franklin or buy a house in whatever. And like, again, they were just trying to help. But I was like, no, I'm going to live for free in Nashville. And then that ended up happening. Like, so with manifestation, I really believe it's magic. Like there's powers. Like I went to the Nashville Fit release party or whatever, and literally it was a Saturday night, and all I had wanted, I was like, man, I didn't have any alpha cookies present, and I needed like that cheat before my leg day, or that free meal, or whatever you want to call it. And I remember being like, man, I really would love some brownies, which I have not had in like a long, long time. And best you believe, I get to this release party, bam, right there by Paleo Works, there's some gluten-free brownies. Okay, if that's not magic, I don't know what is. Like I literally had no idea that was going to be there. Like it was just, it was like a sign. And so again, we have so much power and so much like just amazing things within us, that if you just allow it to shine and stop getting in the way or letting others cloud it or get in your way or bring you down or whatever, it's like, just, oh my gosh, like if you can just continue to sit in that and like be like, man, I'm not gonna let anything stop me, like your world just opens up. And so I just hate to see so many people negative because of like, oh, I don't have a date for Valentine's Day, or oh, I got to do this, or I don't know, whatever it might be, or oh, I got to like look like I'm having fun, or that I'm beautiful and got to get dressed up with these girls and go out and do something that maybe you don't even want to do. And if you do want to go do those things, by all means, like go do it. But what I'm saying is like, if you're content being at home right now, listening to Love Your Body podcast on Valentine's Day, like that's straight, like, or for the weekend or whatever, like that's great. Or during this month, because you saw on social media, all the posts and all the things, whatever, like don't let it get you down to where you feel less than because other people are having fun or they're on a different season than you are. Because I can say from personal experience with being in a relationship with Valentine's Day, that it was not good. Like it was not a good time. And I don't even think I had posted anything about it or whatever, but I'm sure I probably had done something where I was like, oh, I want my girlfriend. So like a girl's like B-Day thing or whatever, right? And, really at that time of my life, I really should have sat at home and thought about what was important and like do things that really brought me joy, right? And versus feeling like there's an expectation that I have to meet or have to do because TikTok says everyone that has their life together is doing it, or you see on Instagram that everybody looks happy. So therefore, then I will be happy because I do these things. So just in terms of keeping our mental health clear, in terms of not letting a month dictate, your life or bring you down or whatever. And yeah, because like I don't know, like I said, when I started feeling like, when I started pushing away negativity and not letting it bring me down, that I may complain about it for a minute, right? But I pretty much do that where it's like something happens, I'll complain about it for maybe a second, okay, and then it's like, all right, we got to move forward. Because it does you no good to hold on to that negativity. It does you no good to hold on to that resentment. And there's plenty of people in my past, there's plenty of people that I've dealt with that, it would be so easy for me to like not. I mean, to just be like, wow, like write them off or like be like, you're out, you're cut, this, that, whatever. Whether it was from something that was like disrespectful, like sexual harassment, from, just annoying comments. I mean, just like there could be so many things that I could like, I mean, look back and I obviously remember them. But if you haven't forgiven those people and you don't, again, like how I try to like forgive society for how, they continue to put down that there's like not multiple types of beauty or you have to be one extreme or the other, it's like you have to just let that go in terms of letting it affect your day to day. Because we're going to have those things and those bumps in the road. And I had a couple things happen here recently. And I was just like, at the end of the day, let's look at these positives. I'm sitting in my house that I paid for, that I have an Airbnb. I have, my health. I have my mental health. I have my, my family, my friends that have been very supportive. Like, I have these awesome clients that are crushing it. Like, it's so easy to let the one negative outshine all of that, right? But for me, what I hold on to, like, and it always comes back to it. I always go back to that healthy lifestyle because if I could not get my movement in, which there was a short period of time where I couldn't, like, with my injury and stuff, like that was horrible because I had to sit with everything and deal with everything and I had no way to release it. I had no way to get it out. And I wasn't doing therapy at the time. So I couldn't even talk to anyone about it. I mean, so all that stuff gets built up, whatever. And yeah, it will destroy you. It will make you a lesser version of yourself if you let it. And I think it just comes down to time and time again, a miscommunication or, maybe it is, I mean, I don't know. There's different things that I think that can come down in that breakdown of just the negativity and the positivity and everything like that. But yeah, I don't know. For me, like, I just want to live in a season of this next prep and this next year of just freaking feeling creative, feeling excited, being, energized by life, there's nothing that happened where it's like, it's not like Good Morning America reached out to me or yet, or, whatever, or Survivor. It's nothing like that is happening. Like, this is something that I have like thought of and reached out and kind of got in the works and whatever. But again, still celebrating it as if it was those things, because that's what brings me joy is being creative and doing fun stuff and doing different things than other people do. And, if someone is telling you something right now, like you're like, man, I don't feel good about that. Or I don't feel good doing it in that way because everybody else does it, especially for my young entrepreneurs, my females in business, whoever. Like, make sure to step like to them and say, can you explain this? Like, or can you tell me where you're coming from? Or can we, kind of like just regroup this and do it this way? Or like, here, sure, I'll try it this way, but I want you to know I feel better doing X, Y, Z because that's my brand or that's my business or whatever, right? And I really do think that that's what's going to pay off in the long run is by sticking with what you're good at versus trying to be like everybody else and do what everyone else is doing. And if you love doing what everyone else is doing and that is your vibe, then continue to make your workout videos. Like continue to do, where you're explaining the exercises and you're doing all the things and whatever. Like do all those things if that brings you joy. If it brings you joy doing a slow motion video of you meal prepping, like and carrying groceries in, like that literally that reel that I did. If you haven't seen it, I just spoiled it for you, but go to my Instagram and look at it. It brought me so much joy. Like it makes me smile. It makes me laugh every time I look at it because I was just like, what a great idea. Like to get, because I know that we all struggle with carrying our groceries in one trip. Don't tell me you don't, okay? Like, I got people pulling their back or blowing their backs out essentially to try to get everything in. And it was just so funny. And I loved like doing that little video or whatever. And it's just like that small thing, but it didn't feel like I had to post that day. I didn't feel like I had to get, whatever. But I was like, okay, what's something that I haven't really talked about a lot? And that's meal prepping. And so I'm starting to get more comfortable with that. as I've gotten over food triggers and things. And so, so it was a really special moment when I could sit there and kind of be like, okay, well, I'd be creative about it. Like, well, I haven't done anything like that. So let me just put my phone up real quick and like, I'll just get a video of me bringing these in. This is probably gonna look stupid as heck. And then like, I watched the video and I was like, dude, I'm laughing my tail off. I put the music over it. And I'm just like, this is everything. But I noticed in the video, I was like, oh, if I would have just like turned the water bottle, you would have seen the Dandy Fitness logo. And if I would have pulled my shorts up a little bit more, my stomach would have looked, more lean, and then I was like, what the freak are you doing? Like, oh no. Like, you see what I'm saying though? It's so easy to get in that trap and then not post it. And it was like, and it's something that brings me joy. And I know it brought other people joy, but it brought me joy. Even if 2 people saw it and like no one commented, it doesn't matter. It's like you have to, this is why I get so frustrated with people. It's like, who cares? Like about that. And so when you let negativity and sadness and you can't be creative, you start to think that, and then you start posting less and less and less. And then it's like, again, or you take like a social media break and stuff like that because you just can't, like, whatever. And I get that kind of, I do. I don't live in that world, but I understand when people do it for their mental and stuff like that. But would it not be better? Let's just think this through. Would it not be better to address why you need the social media break? And you may say, okay, well, I need it because, it's Valentine's Day. I'm single and I don't want to see all the couples and stuff. Okay, valid. But how can we take it a step further? Because when you come off that month social media break, you're coming right back to it. And I guarantee you, I don't know if all those couples will still be together, but you're going to see the couples again. You're going to see more. It might not be as prominent in your mind, but you're going to see it. So like, how can we address what the real problem is? If you're like, well, the real problem is I feel lonely, Dani. Like, okay, I can vibe with that. I totally get that. So how do we be complete with ourselves? So you see what I'm saying? So then we start asking these questions, start open up this creativity to be like, okay, well, yeah, how could I be complete with myself? Well, I don't know. Like, I like going to the movies by myself. Okay. That's something you could go do. Cool. Like, I like cooking. I could take that up or go take a cooking course. I like playing paintball. I could go take my nephews and nieces and, like do that with them. So again, taking it a step further, as simple as just like, I'm taking a social media break. And then when I come back, I'm going to get this endorphin rush and this high because everybody who commented, liked, whatever, when I come back in a month, it's like, I'm going to see all of that. Or you might not because maybe nobody went to your page or nobody saw your stuff and you weren't posting. So they just were like, oh, well, we're not going to go look at it. So either way, I don't feel like it's a good situation because either one of them, the expectation was you're like, I'm going to be like, everyone's going to look at my stuff and whatever. And like, I had a good mental break and whatever, but then I'm going to have that like high again, or nobody did. And then you're just depressed again. And then you're just like in this vicious cycle. So it's like, I don't know. I get that. I do get the stepping away from it and the mental benefits that it can be, but I'm just saying, why don't we take it a step further and address what the real issue is. And also too, like, I have no problem, I've realized, with like muting somebody. And that doesn't mean to block them or that doesn't mean whatever, but to where you don't see their stuff so prominently, right? And I'm sure people have done it to me because they're like, how is this girl loving her booty? Like, how is she loving her life? Like, whatever. I don't care. But for me, like, if somebody is toxic or whatever, I have to first address like, okay, why are they? Okay, maybe they're perpetuating the standard, right? I'm giving a real life example. Maybe they're perpetuating the standard of you need to look this certain way, act a certain way. I like to have it all together and not be real on social media. And I don't care for that. And then if I have to see that in person, it's just like a lot, right? So for me to keep on my track and keep my people good and not build resentment towards that person or, whatever, no matter if it's valid or if it's invalid, it's one of those things of like, I have to kind of address that and then go from there, and maybe there will be a time where I unmute that person or whatever. And then I'm like, cool, like it doesn't even faze me. But I think when life does get heavy, like it can be a lot. So we have to find ways to kind of like reset, but really ask ourselves, like, why does that bother you and this and that? And I think that it is a lot of it. I personally especially let's just use Valentine's, Day, for example, or for this month. Like, okay, the whole idea that it has to be lavish, right? It's got to be wine, it's got to be pasta, it's got to be candy. Like all these are marketing gimmicks, right? Like you don't have to go do all those things. And so if people are continually like perpetuating that and whatever, it's like that's the problem, right? So with healthy lifestyle journeys, when you're trying to create real and true like healthy lifestyle journeys where we're fighting for what we want, we're getting our movement in and we're loving our body throughout, like how it's very hard to do when you're clouded by all the continuing pictures of you have to do this training to look like me, or you have to do this to do this, or whatever, or these unrealistic expectations and standards that are never just going to be met, and this is like that false idea. Like if you're 5'4", I'm just saying, like if you're 5'4", no matter how much you work out, like you're not going to be 6 foot tall. Like and so it's like, again, you can change your composition, you can change so much, you can create a new life for yourself, yes, but the idea that we're gonna be all of a sudden these clone replicas of people, it's like why would you want that, right? Like I want you to dig deep into yourself and say what's the best that you want to look like. I can look at people and I can admire them and be like, man, whatever, but I try to stay away from, I've always done this where I stay away from saying, I want to look like that person, or, I want to be her. Like so many people, I think, look at Olympians and they look at, Arnold Schwarzenegger and they look at all these people and like, I want to be him. I'm fine to be Chris Baum or whoever, or whatever. And it's like, Baumstead? Who, I don't know his name, but you know what I mean? The guy. And when people look at that, it's like they're like, I want to be him. And then they live and breathe that lifestyle and that thing, whatever. And they lose their individuality and they lose what makes them them. So in this love your body, moment, I want you to think about, okay, well, what if we just changed it and said to ourselves, like, I don't need the relationship or this or that or whatever, but like at this time, I need to just look at like, how can I love myself a little bit more, and what does that look like, and treat yourself like how you want to be treated, I'm super excited, like I said, about this because doing this bonfire, I'm gonna do a bonfire and whatever, and kind of just have some chill time and stuff, but like getting my shed cleaned out, this surprise that I'm gonna talk about, and like doing the home love your body initiatives with the stickers and stuff like that. Like you may be like, oh wow, cool, Dani, like great idea, but like it just means so much to me because I really hope that somebody scans, just one person scans that sticker and that takes them this podcast and they're just like, damn, like you're right. I do need to love myself more. Or like, man, I have not been giving myself enough credit. Or like, I am the baddest bitch on the block. Or to my guys that feel like they're not as muscular, or they're not the Olympian yet, or they're not whoever, to know that like they're still worthy. They don't have to get to that point. They don't have to get to the 7-figure job, or they don't have to make it big to then find love. They don't have, there's so many things that, it just like that puts us in our spot, and we're this like generation that's trying to truly be individualized and like live this, individualistic and create your own reality. But, I don't see that a lot. And so I encourage you to stray away from what feels, I guess, easiest, like going on a date if you don't want to go on the date or whatever it might be. And I get it. We feel less than, and we think that some type of this, like that knock of dopamine will like fix it or whatever. But like if you've ever gone through a prep, if you've ever gone through a healthy lifestyle journey, when you've like turned down something, like, and even just in real life, like if you've turned down something, you feel so empowered the next morning. There's so many nights during all, like the past year and a half where I've been like, just have it. Like, why not? Right? Like who, like you've done so good. You've done better than the 90% of people. You've done better than this. Whatever. And then it's like, no, I'm not in any comparison. I'm not on their journey. This is my journey. And if I don't stick to like my goal and my discipline and my values, I lose myself. And when you lose yourself, that is where we get into these states where we are now heavily medicated, and when we are constantly dragging through life and hating every single day. And, I don't want that for anyone. I don't want that for my clients. I don't want that for my online clients, future clients, past clients, friends, people in the industry, any of them, bodybuilder girls, wellness girls. Life is too short to only care what others think, but also only let what others do dictate your life. And I will say last year around this time, I had just decided that I was getting into my prep, and then the Shape and the Smoothie King thing, I think all that popped off as well. And I don't even know, I could be getting my years mixed up anyway. But I really wasn't like thinking about like I was thinking about more so like, okay, this prep coming up, and I was kind of nervous about it. And I was like, I kind of wanted some like validation, I guess, whatever. And ended up talking to somebody and going on these dates and stuff. And like it was just like the worst decision I could have made, because I felt like I needed that comfort or needed that support to help me start my prep for this show, right? Because I needed like somebody and whatever. And I was like, whoa. And after that happened, I was like, no. And that's when I cut off like going on dates with people and all that stuff, because I was just like, this is not serving me. And I had to kind of learn it that hard way, right? Like that, and through that negativity. And then I started realizing what's the word? The relationship of the stress with either eating the gold bars or eating the whatever when I got stressed out by men. So that also helped. But all these things helped allow me to open up to like, okay, I'm not going to let anyone treat me any less than what I deserve at all, ever, no matter what season of life I'm in. Second, I'm not going to let the food triggers take me off my goals anymore. Like, no. And when I started putting that together slowly but surely, like I got rid of the alcohol in January, got rid of the men around February, got rid of the what was it, the food triggers and stuff around like March, April. Like, I just slowly started chipping away at this amazing lifestyle that I have now. And so again, it wasn't overnight. You don't have to like get rid of somebody that you've been wanting to break up with like right now. You know what I mean? Like, again, sit in it and ask yourself, like, what do you want? Do you want the life that you have right now, or how do we get to the other side? What do we have to go through? Is this just a season time of grinding? Is this a season of time up for this relationship, but it's not going to be anything long term, whatever. Like, again, whatever makes you happy, but truly let it be for yourself and not for others. So if you can keep anything in mind from today's podcast, follow on your path, because the moment that you let anyone take you off, that is when you become, that's when you lose yourself. And I hope that you guys get to see all my stickers and all my posts and all my things coming up. And I'm super excited about it. So make sure that you're following on Instagram, Danny Fitness One, on YouTube as well. Facebook, all the things, guys. And if you ever have any questions and you're, wanting to really look at your lifestyle, I do consults every week for people all over the U.S. So whether you're wondering about bodybuilding, wondering if you should do a show, wondering if you should start a podcast, anything, like whatever questions you have, if you're an entrepreneur, male, female, whoever, I'm always here. You can always reach out. Again, I just want to make sure that, we are growing as a community. We're growing this mission that you can love your body throughout, fight for what you want, get your movement in, and become your best self. Until next time.